And what's up, nerds? My name is Brendan, the nerd of many faces, and to my right is, of course, Shane Holly at FDScosplay. And we are the Knights of Nerd. Now, you may be noticing you're getting more than one episode every 2 weeks, but that's because today is a very special episode. Today we are excited. We were so excited for when this was happening. We are discussing Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. In all honesty, to me, it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. To everybody, it should be Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And yeah, I'm excited. Shane, I understand that you are a little bit extra crispy today.
Just a little bit. Spent some time out this weekend camping up in Alabama Hills, if you guys know it, because that's where they filmed Iron Man and Man of Steel. So I got to go out and visit some sets out there, and really enjoyed it. Got to do some great cosplay photos. Took my Winter Soldier out there, my Kylo, and my Jedi, and it was a blast. And it's well worth the burnt face and blisters on my arms and chapped lips and all that fun stuff.
Sir,
it definitely is worth it, man.
Sir,
and I did have time to watch the finale, and I watched it 3 times, and once in the middle of the desert on a big screen. And I mean, I loved it. I can't wait to talk about the series. It's just such an amazing series. It's easily become one of my most favorite, TV series or streaming series of all time. I mean, it just, I can't wait to get into the meat and potatoes of this and really, jump in and talk about the different things that they did with this. And God, it's so good. It's really, it was so phenomenal. Oh man.
Okay, Shane, I'm gonna.
Somebody that cosplays as Winter Soldier. But I do have to throw this out here. I mean, y'all can disagree with me on this if you want, but it should be called Captain America Bucky now, not Captain America Winter Soldier. Because if he's Bucky, man. It's Bucky. He's back. And better than ever. So
well, I mean, it's like
we'll get into that.
And it's like, I mean, if you can't tell, what's on my right now is the classic Captain America shield, because I myself, as a Captain America cosplayer, like, I was very happy with the show. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. With us today, we have a very special guest. My buddy Chris I know him from Villain Slayer Comics and Games, but now he is a purveyor of comics at the Comic Bug. So let's get Chris in here. How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I am doing very good. Thank you for having me onto the show here. I'm looking forward to getting into all of this. And Shane, favorite series of all time. I'm impressed. That's high praise, actually.
It really is. I mean, consider, but when you figure out what type of TV shows that I like I'm very much like, 2 of my all-time favorite TV shows made it past 1 season and didn't make it past the 1st season. The second one didn't make it past the 2nd season, which is Firefly and Pushing Daisies. Those are my two of my all-time favorite shows. Okay, but then you get into my all-time favorite show, which is Red Dwarf, which is a UK space comedy. I love that show. I've watched all 13 seasons of it, probably 7 times just this year. Talking to Winter Soldier it's right up there with it, and just because I love the Winter Soldier. I mean, you can see his arm over here off my right, and the shield's black and white, guys. That is not Cap's shield. That is, I know it's not 100% accurate because the star wouldn't be there, but that is my U.S. agent shield that I use when I cosplay as U.S. agent, which I'm going to fix to make it black. I'm gonna wear the hell out of it.
So let's talk about our reactions to this show as a whole first and foremost. Like all 6 episodes, there are a few things that I could probably, I mean, it's not a perfect show. There are some discrepancies that I would have liked to have seen, or there were some instances of things happening that I would have personally liked to have seen. I would have liked to see I would have liked to see Torres don the wings and him come in as the backup.
Mm-hmm. Well, considering he'll turn into later, but I think they're gonna allow us more time to see that he played into.
Okay. No, I can see that.
You know, that's kind of thing I've been noticing with not just this show, even the previous. They're setting up for certain characters. If you know who they are, you can see the road that they should be heading down towards later.
Right, and they really did kind of set that up with Torres after John ripped off Sam's wings in the beginning of the episode, and Torres is like, "What do you want me to do with these?" And Sam's like,
"Keep them.
They're yours." You know, so it really kind of set that up, and they did a good job on that. So yeah, no, there was a lot of really great setups in this show, especially with characters, and there were some surprises with some of the character developments and stuff like that. But like I was kind of, if there was one thing that I have to critique the show on, it was one thing, is the fact that Sam kept on saying that Steve's gone. Okay, sorry, Steve's not gone. He lives. He's still alive. He was alive at the end of the end game. Yeah, he was older, but when you look at it, how if Isaiah and Steve are the exact same, around the same age, they both have the super soldier serum. Steve is still around, so how is he gone?
Well,
like,
I thought
that,
Isaiah.
That bugs me because you don't know where he's at. Like, I get that you're saying Steve's gone because I know Chris Evans said that he was done with playing Cap, but just don't tell me he's gone. Like, you know, give me something along the lines of some sort. I mean, they could have even have done something like they could have said he was gone, or could have just said, didn't even have to say anything. But when it came up to Walker's court-martial hearing, like I would have loved to have seen him like start going into his little tirade about he's Captain America, and then see this old dude kind of stand up and be like, "Listen here, boy, you're not Captain America. I'm Captain America. This is what it takes to do what we do. What it takes to be a Captain America, and what you did is not what Captain America is about." You know, just something like that. I kind of feel that they kind of missed on that.
Well, okay.
The problem with that though is that you can't. To have had that happen, you would have had to basically bring back Chris Evans, put him back in makeup just to have that whole scene go down, and that's still in technicality playing Captain America.
And also the amount of money that it would have probably taken for him to have that.
Because I mean, he would at that point he'd be playing Steve Rogers. He wouldn't be playing Cap.
But again,
that is such a fancy way to put that. But think about it this way,
dude. Also, money.
Money. But
it's Disney. They got the money.
But does the show have that much money? I know it's Disney and it's the parent company and everything else, but the show itself has a budget.
I know.
But you know, I was also going to go with the word phrasing from earlier, because when you're saying he's gone, it's almost like you're like a finality note, like Steve's dead or something. Is almost the way that could have been taken. And I think Bucky meant it in the sense of Steve is not going to be here for this role. He's not in this portion of the superhero club universe right now. He's truly stepped all out.
Well,
you know?
I would have. It's like I think what Shane is. If I can kind of see where it is that you're going, Shane, I think that you're going of more of this is no longer Steve's fight.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's like that phrase would have implied that he's still there, but he's just not as involved.
Right.
Which I think, I mean, if they would have said that, it's like in all honesty, don't think that you'd be like railing so hard against the "he's gone" statement.
Right. Well, here's the thing that Sean pointed out, that we had this almost same conversation the other night. And he's like, yeah, Sam says he's gone, but you know, maybe he's up on a helicarrier with Fury helping him run Shield. You know, and I'm like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, yeah, sort of whatever it is, and I'm sitting there like, how bitchin' that would be. Like, that would be so amazing. Like, all of a sudden you get this end credit,
sir,
you see Fury and you see Steve.
You mean Skrull Fury? It's not Nick. So we shall call him Scurry.
Scurry.
I'm hoping with all this thought in mind that this will play towards Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
we will get that.
Yes.
And that goes to something I was mentioning earlier of what I was having an issue with going on in the, at least in the form of with Cap's like allies in general, how they have all seemed to take this nefarious turn down the line. Like all these classic ones from the comics have suddenly, you look at them on screen and you're like, I cannot believe this is what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Sharon Carter, seriously, Sharon Carter of all people.
I will play devil's advocate here. We do not know. Well, we don't know what it is that she's been through for the past at least 10 years.
I don't care.
Well, no. Okay, hold on. Let me make my point here first. Let me make my point here first before you guys get all rah. So
she's going down.
we don't see her. It's like we don't see her. She vanishes after after Civil War. She just disappears. Yeah. We don't see her, so therefore we know that she's on the run. Then we don't know what happens to her during the blip.
Right.
So that's another 5. That's at least another 5 years, or it's like that's at minimum 5 years. So it's like, could it possibly be that Sharon's been out in the cold for a decade? And it's like, to be out in the cold for a decade, like your country's after you. You might start to question of what it is that you need to do to survive.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're talking about, because
well, let's get Chris's perspective here real quick.
Okay, go for it.
That would be a great valid argument until you go back to Winter Soldier, because when she talks about the legacy and the family and everything else, you know, about who the Carters were and that she's a part of that family. To hear that happen is almost a weird slap in the face of that legacy right there.
Yeah.
Well, could it be that? Well, hold on. Could it be that the government slapped her in the face by going through and saying it's like the Carter legacy? It's like you've disappointed that, and it's like if you get told enough times that you've done this, you start to believe it yourself.
Well, here's a twist for you. So here's another conversation.
What the twist?
The twist is she's not the power broker. She's playing the power broker. The person that she was talking to, spoiler guys, if you haven't seen the finale, the person that she was talking to at the end of the finale, okay, was Fury.
Mm-hmm.
She's his inside back into the government, and being able to get that technology again, and being able to get those weapons to bring Shield back. And to be able to have those protectors and the Avengers again, because we don't have the Avengers anymore, guys. The only heroes we have right now is Captain America and Bucky, and that's it.
That's not accurate because
well, we still have it's like fair, Wanda, Doctor Strange is around
in the U.S.
In
the U.S. We'll say it like that.
Okay.
The only ones you actually have active at the moment that we know of, because again, we haven't seen what's going on with Hawkeye because he's still active.
Right.
We know that's a show coming up afterwards. But besides him, Spider-Man just got added, so we have to take him off the list. Technically, Wolverine is still active, as we saw. So, you know, because we see him in episode 1, so he's still active. Technically, you have Captain Marvel, because she's made a presence known. You have T'Challa, and you have the Malazador to help out with those type of things too. So then you still have some of these people active.
Right. But you don't have your Avengers, and there's no way to get them back, right? So why wouldn't you have her as an inside person into the government? Because remember, the government's looking at these guys as, being separated, and they're not giving them the power. That's why they went with John Walker as Captain America instead of going with somebody like Bucky or Sam or somebody else. The U.S. government was trying to build their own type of, I don't want to say club, but their own superhero club, basically.
That's called the Thunderbolts.
Right. So I mean, it's definitely. I would love to see that, because having her as the villain, like, dude, I was pissed, man. I was really pissed off at that. Like, you go from, like, I mean, like you said, I mean, that just really just threw that Carter name just in the garbage, like, really did. Like, it just tarnished it so badly that you're just like, and like we talked about earlier, I was like, it's funny that they did that, and then all of a sudden, one of the main baddies, Zemo, is like this like lovable character now that everybody just loves, and he's not. It doesn't seem like. I mean, he's almost. I mean, yeah, we know he's a bad guy, but he's a bad guy in this. I mean, he was like that, almost kind of reformed super villain type thing, and everybody loves Zemo now. It's like he's like the next hottest thing, and it's crazy. And,
it's those dancing skills, bro.
That's what it is.
Right. All we need now is in the new Spider-Man movie is a scene where you bring Tobey Maguire back, and you got Peter Parker and Zemo in a club dancing.
No. I draw the line there.
I'm just gonna say
everybody would lose it.
Together is what I'm looking forward to seeing. Seriously.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I'm looking forward to seeing all three Spider-Man doing those dances down the street together. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what, if they give me that, I will be a happy man.
Yeah, no, I mean, this season they did, like every TV series. I mean, Brendan, you and I have talked about this. Watching a TV show. I mean, we talked about it with WandaVision. Is give it 3 episodes. Like, really, you've got to give a TV series 3 episodes. If it's not going to engross you or draw you in within those 3 episodes, okay, you're probably right. It's not your cup of tea. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, really, I mean, it started off with a huge bang. I mean, with Sam working with the military and stuff like that, and I was really hoping right off the bat that you would have that kind of buddy cop, like, friendship between Bucky and Sam, because you kind of saw that a little bit in Civil War, where they're kind of, when they're sitting there and they're meet Sharon, and Bucky and Sam are in the seat. Bucky's like, "Dude, we need to seat up." Sam, no. Come on, and they have that little scene. You're just like, "Oh my God, this is great. I love this. I love this relationship." And you wanted to see that, and you really didn't get that until like the last couple episodes, which the way that they did it and how they did it made complete sense and made it very rewarding for you.
Yeah.
And it really came down to, they're not going to have that right off the bat because Sam gives away the shield, and the whole time you're like, well, he gave it away for the Smithsonian. He did the right thing. He didn't want to be Cap, so he did the right thing. And then you have that conversation between Sam and Bucky at the house when they're throwing the shield back and forth. They're playing catch with it.
I didn't realize the weight that didn't realize the weight of this. I didn't realize the weight of this object.
Right.
And Bucky goes into that conversation with him and tells him, basically says the shield is the last part of the family that I've got.
Right.
Like, as soon as he says that, you're like, dude, he's so right. Because I mean, his only family that he had, and the only person that he ever had that believed in him was Steve.
Right.
And Steve's out of the picture now, and all he has left of that to hang on to is that shield. And so I completely understood where he's, you know, he felt betrayed by Sam because Sam gave away his family.
Yeah.
You know, and that whole scene was just so, that was extremely powerful for me, especially being somebody that loves the Winter Soldier, not only just in the MCU but in the comic books. I mean, you know, when they announced, you know, Captain America Winter Soldier, I mean, I was the first one in line, like, let's do this. You know, and it just, you know, and what they did to develop Bucky's character in this season, like I told you earlier, Chris, I was like, you know, it did not even bother me that he didn't, that the arm wasn't there for most of the season. I was more engrossed in Sebastian Stan's Bucky and the development from him going from Winter Soldier to Bucky. And, you know, because, you know, you're so used to seeing the Winter Soldier being this badass fighter, it takes everybody down, doesn't have any issue with anybody. And this season, he got his ass beat. Like, he got beat down quite a bit. And it showed that human side of him to where he's really broken away from that control. And he's trying to figure this out, because even though he's been a super soldier for however long he's been, he still doesn't know how, he doesn't understand how to use those powers to his, you know, to his advantage. So, you know, it's like, it's such a great development of a character, and such taking him from being this super strong super soldier to this almost kind of everyday Joe that's dealing with, you know, these, trying to figure out who he is. Almost that kind of like coming of age story per se with his character was just so good. Like, I love that development, and just the whole, you know, once you kind of get that buddy thing with him and Sam, and it's just like you see that smile back that you saw in the first, you know, in the first Captain America, and he's just like, he's Bucky again. You're just like, oh my God, he's back. Like, yes, thank you God. Like, oh dude, I just want to, you know, find Sebastian Stan, give him a hug and say thank you, because he made Bucky relevant again. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, the Winter Soldier's gone. To me, like, he's gone. Like, the show shouldn't be Captain America Winter Soldier. It should be Captain America and Bucky. You know, but that's just me. I'll shut up now. I can talk about this all day.
I want to speak about that though. So in regards of with
say that again, Chris.
Bucky, I was going to say, in regards of Bucky going from Winter Soldier to Bucky again, is the best way to put it. It shows in his fighting stance and his style. That's why he gets butt kicked so often, because as Winter Soldier, he doesn't hesitate to kill. He goes for the most efficient means, the moves, to handle, disable, and do these things. And since that programming is not there, Bucky is having to rediscover himself, because he does have all of those skills, but to use those skills to not kill now, you almost hesitate on your reaction of what you do. You're second guessing yourself. And so this is a lot of what happens in the fights, if you notice. It's sort of him trying very hard not to do that extra final step what he would have normally done, and that he's sticking on, that it's holding him back, because this is part of why he's getting his behind kicked. And it's noticeable to also mention that we were talking about this earlier with the bit about the arm. It's not really a relevant factor for him. It's yes, it's there. It's an extension of himself to a certain degree, but it wasn't meant to be, this is my super arm, this is what I can always do. He acts like his normal self now, and it's great to see that dynamic start to show up. Like I said, watching that build of him earning that new trust and bond with Sam.
And I love that too, because it's just like it like you're talking about, his arm's just an extension of himself now. It's not his super arm. I mean, he's a super soldier. And when he goes up there and Sam's struggling to freaking tighten that freaking pipe, and Bucky walks up and he grabs the
wrench and
tighten it with his right arm, and Sam looks over and is like, just use your arm. He's like,
I don't always think of it.
I didn't ever think about using it. I was like, I'm a righty anyway, so why am I gonna? I'm not gonna use my right arm.
I am not left-handed.
You know, hey. And And I was like, dude, that is such a Bucky thing, and such a great way to show that he's not using that arm as a crutch. Like, you know, it's not. I mean, yeah, we got to see kind of like his surprise when he was fighting with I can't. I'm not gonna say I will murder it, but the Wakandan soldiers or warriors, I should say. And she's all, beep, 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 and his arm just goes, boop,
and it's like, did you know it could do that? No.
You can do that.
Oh.
Like that was just great. That was so great.
Well, it's like, and let's not forget to talk about the evolution of Sam here. The evolution of
to jump on that too, yeah.
Because the thing is that,
oh my god, yeah.
The thing is that this, like, Sam's journey to becoming Captain America.
Right.
One, like, he's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't necessarily feel comfortable holding this.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm not Captain America. That belongs to that man over there. And then Bucky introduces Isaiah to Sam to Isaiah, and it's like, wait, there was another one?
Yeah.
Right.
And then like realizing that the weight of the shield, and also, I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. If you don't think that this show touches on racism, you are blind.
Yeah, right.
You are blind, and it's like just accept that accept that this is the case.
Right.
Learn. It's like go through, learn from it, and as Sam would say, be better.
Yep.
Exactly.
Be better. And yeah, I mean, and his whole speech in the finale, like I said, like when we were talking earlier, was like, dude, I'm a black man wearing the stars and stripes.
Exactly.
What do I not understand?
It's like, do you not think that people are gonna? It's like, do you think that people aren't going to hate me? I can already feel the judgment, and it's like this whole entire thing about stereotypes, about labels. I mean, it's like the speech was phenomenal.
It was. Right. It was a Steve speech with a Sam twist to it.
Oh yeah,
is what it was. Because when he was talking and he was giving that speech, like, and you know, they were showing Bucky off to the side listening to him give that speech. Dude, that was a Captain America speech. That was a damn good speech, and he delivered it phenomenally. Like it was like, it completely, as much as I hate to say this, it made me forget about Steve. Like, it made me forget about Steve Rogers being Captain America, because that speech was so well done and so powerful, and the way that he like delivered it and told them basically how it is and how it's going to be and how we need to do better, and the governments need to stop labeling people as terrorists or as rebels or whatever. Take care of those people, and if you were doing that in the first place, you would not have.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had this. It's like you wouldn't have had this problem.
Right.
Like
it was just like, I mean, just how they tied Isaiah's character into it. Like, dude, bringing that character back pretty much from non-existence, because not many people knew who Isaiah was, and that he was a version of Captain America. And the fact that they brought him into this and really kind of almost made him, I don't want to say mentor to Sam, because he kind of wasn't, but he was that role model once Sam figured out who he was. It kind of gave Sam that little extra nudge that he needed to realize what he needed to do and how he needed to do it and become Captain America and not Falcon or Sam.
I would say
that was such a great thing that Marvel did, bringing Isaiah's character into it and giving him that story and that voice. And like I told you guys earlier, I mean, I cried my eyes out, and the reason why I cried my eyes out was at this scene when he took Isaiah to the Smithsonian and had the statue, and told him,
Right.
"Now nobody will never forget."
Yeah.
As soon as he walked into the Smithsonian, you had Steve's face right there in that corner. He knew exactly where they were and what was happening, and it just, like, dude, I was an emotional wreck. Even after the episode, I was talking about how amazing it was, and just how much. I mean, I had tears down my eyes for at least 20 minutes. Let's so good.
Well, see, here's how I saw that scene, and then it's like, you know, Chris, we'll definitely want you to weigh in on this. Here's how I saw that scene. So we remember when we first met to it was one of the first interactions with Isaiah, and he said the government, it's like they erased me.
Sorry, you actually froze up on me here.
So they erased me, as in he no longer existed. He had to basically, like, you know, not call any attention to himself, not as, like, you know, not be the person who he's supposed to be, and everything. And then when that statue, and it's like with like granite or stone, it's like literally etched in stone the story of this man.
Yeah.
To me, that spoke to the power of loss of self, but then the power of also getting yourself back.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And acknowledgement of being an actual person really is what it got down to.
Yeah.
For Isaiah is what he really came out of that with, because you hear him talk about it throughout his moments when he does talk to Sam about what they did to him, how they, like I said, as they erased him as a person. He did not exist. He was essentially a tool who they used as much as they could and then threw away and then buried just to make sure that no one else knew what the hell this was. And it's, as a person, this is not a very good thing to feel. We all want acknowledgement for being who we are.
Yeah.
Stand in front of you, acknowledge that we exist in front of you. Whether you like us or not is a whole different story, but you at least acknowledge us. And that is a basic human trait and factor that we all need. We accept. That's part of how we communicate with one another. And to basically have that taken away from you, it does cause that bitterness. And that's why Isaiah felt the way that he did during this entire time. This is also in a factor of what they were doing to John Walker in the series. They were doing it to him now. When he did what he did, it's one thing, and getting that reaction is another. But the way that they tried to more or less bury him was about the same as what they tried to do to Isaiah.
Yeah.
The difference, of course, is that for John Walker's case, he was just stripped of all of his things, but he was no longer, he didn't lose his acknowledgement, is the best way to put it, with compared to what they did to Isaiah. And that's the only saving grace he had in comparison between the two. But you see them doing this. This is part of what the government does. This is what they were saying throughout this. So when I watched those scenes, it got me very differently, I think, because of that. Seeing that pain that was etched in Isaiah, and Carl Lumley, like they say, give many props to you for how he portrays that in that character. He has that voice. And so you can hear that pain come across as he's telling you the story of what they did to him, the losses that he had, and why he doesn't want, even in this new age. And that's kind of an interesting thing when he was telling Sam before Sam does what he does with the Smithsonian. I don't need their acknowledgement now, because what will they do to me? They'll now, to ensure that I was already off their page, but now if I appear back on, they may try and take me out for damn sure. And I don't need that, because he already built up a family and everything else to them as well. You know, and cause that loss for them. That was part of why he acted the way he did after he got out and lost his wife. So you're kind of seeing those things, and so it's almost an emotional moment for him, I think, when Sam actually puts it in the Smithsonian. It's done in such a very, very public fashion that it speaks volumes that they allowed him to get away with doing this. They're now truly accepting him. That acknowledgement finally is shown through. He doesn't have to have that fear of what the potential consequences are, that's also erased from him as well when he sees it done in this fashion. And I think that's something that comes across too if you look at his face and you see that trembling, you see him do that quick glance around him as he's doing this. So that's part of what I took from while watching it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was such a great portrayal and really paying homage to a great character, I think. And by having Sam do it that way and putting out in the public, you know, it just, I mean, I really couldn't contain my emotions on that, because I was just like,
yeah,
I mean, for one, I'm not, I mean, I'm as white as they come, as you can see, but, you know, I
right now, red
right now, but, you know, I grew up, you know, in San Diego in a community that was predominantly African American, and you know, I've never, you know, I've seen some struggles, but I've never seen anything like what anybody can even talk to or even fathom. Okay, and just the sheer trail of Isaiah, how he spoke about what they did to him, about him being in prison, about his wife dying while he was in there, you know, about them basically, like you said, erasing him from history. Like he didn't exist like at all. Isaiah is nobody. He was a nobody, is basically how they portrayed it. And for them to then for Sam to come back and, you know, do what he did, like, dude, that was such an emotional moment to see, because it's so powerful to see somebody that, like Sam said, we built this country.
Right.
The African American community built this country, whether it was, you know, through slavery, through, you know, being in the military, being, you know, just every facet of life, you know. And then for somebody to basically get knocked off a perch and basically be completely erased and say that they don't exist, like, I could never imagine that, like, going through that, or any type of, I can't even think of any hardship that I could compare to something like that. You know what I mean? And it just, I loved it. And I love the portrayal of how Marvel really, you know, like Stan Lee said, you know, Marvel really goes after, you know, it's art portraying real life. And they really did that with this series and with these characters. And what really got me with Sam becoming Captain America was, like I told you earlier, was when he's sitting there and he saves the senators, and he comes up, and that old guy is like, "It's Black Falcon," and then the young guy comes up, he's like, "No, that's Captain America." And you're like, dude, you're damn right, that's Captain America, and he will be Captain America until he says that he doesn't want to do it anymore. Well, you know, and as we all know, Bucky does eventually become Captain America, because Sam, it becomes too much for Sam, if I remember right, in the comics. And
actually, no, so it's actually in reverse in the comics. Bucky was Captain America before Sam was.
Oh, that was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is during the New Avengers run. Steve wound up going off the grid, and he winds up giving the shield to Bucky. That's when he gets the Alex Ross outfit and everything.
Yeah.
And he was Captain America up until the information that he was formerly the Winter Soldier came out. Then he winds up losing the shield for that reason. Steve takes it back up until he loses it in a mission, and then Falcon finally takes over for him, because Steve has become far too old because of that last mission to wield the shield again.
Okay.
So yeah, but
Oh, see, I had it backwards. I had it backwards. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but dude, I mean,
and trust me, it's like you remember, it's like if you remember to our WandaVision episode, Chris is just as knowledgeable as Dr. Udaly is when it comes to the comic book history.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna give him more credit because I actually got to listen to that. He's definitely more knowledgeable than I, but there's some other parts in there I was gonna mention. Speaking of that episode, two quick things. Number one, you see the original Human Torch in Captain America: First Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in that Stark panel export. It's there. It's that early.
Yep.
That was number one. Number two was just that with the Agatha Harkness bit, I was really hoping to see the Salem 7, which is part of her Friends and Progeny and Nicholas Scratch and all that. I was hoping that's who all the individual people inside the town were, but they kept highlighting.
Oh, yeah, like that would have been good.
Okay, that would have been good. That would have been good.
Those are my two things outside of that. But okay,
but since you brought this up, there was one thing that I would have really liked to have seen, and I think that there is the potential for this storyline in terms of what we can see after this show. Because when we were first introduced to Isaiah, my brain went to the Saturday morning cartoon version of Spider-Man and the six American Warriors, or the Six Forgotten Warriors. Right. And I'm like, is this storyline that we're gonna get? I'm like, because if so, awesome, because it opened up the door for Black Cat, Wilson Fisk. That opens up. It's like Wilson Fisk. That opens up the door for Daredevil, and like basically it's this giant domino effect of characters that could possibly be introduced. Now, when it's like, and then I went through and, you know, because I'm not gonna go through and be like, I knew it was the Six Forgotten Warriors. I'm like, I'm gonna go do my homework first, like a good little boy, and see who this guy is, because I couldn't remember I mean, it's been a hot minute since I've seen that episode of Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went through and I'm like, oh, Isaiah Bradley's the first Black Captain America. Oh, this is so much better.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I had Go ahead, Chris. Sorry, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, going back to the scene in the Smithsonian, the only other thing that I wanted, and I have not been getting my statues that I want in the MCU apparently. I would love to have seen him in the outfit that he wore as his version of Captain America. So if you ever look up the novel, which Brandon's about to mention here, you see him in the outfit, so it's more of like a red bandana. He's got like a chainmail style shirt. He's got the combat pants. It's just kind of like what he wore as his version amongst his unit. So it would have been great to have seen that statue, like almost a side by side, to see what he looked like, or a variation of it, I guess. You know, MCU style to that.
That would have been cool.
Statue.
Yeah, that definitely would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. That definitely would have been that would have been the icing on the cake for that, instead of having him in his army attire, or his uniform, his dress uniform. Yeah, I think that would have been amazing, and having him, and even with him having the shield too, that would have been.
Well, it's like, because that
would have been great.
Well, no. He doesn't have the shield. He has a.
He has a shield.
A shield.
Yeah.
The shield is based around the design of the original Captain America shield, so the wedge, essentially.
Okay.
Not the dip.
Yep. And that would have been even better. That would have been totally amazing. Because, I mean, right there, you're solidifying that Sam's not the first Black Captain America, but Isaiah was.
Exactly.
And that would have been a great. It would have been a great homage to the comic and to the character, right? You know, but it would also, I mean, I feel that would have been more powerful than just him in his army dress, you know.
Well, I mean,
Sorry. Brain just kind of kicked on something. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Happens to us all the time.
Sorry. So what just popped in my head is I now understand why they don't show it. And it goes back to some of the customers I've been talking about. We have seen, as of this point in time, almost the entire team of the Young Avengers, with the exception of 2 people now.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, my brain just went, that's how come we don't see it, and that's when we don't see the shield or anything, is because Isaiah still has it. His grandson, who we saw there, will get that eventually as he becomes Patriot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Patriot, I guess, if we include the Agent of Shield's version. But that might be why we don't see him or see all of that. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that for the moment.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. That would be amazing. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just the whole. I mean, just in a whole, why, you know, like why I said, you know, this has easily become one of my all-time favorite shows, is just because of the storytelling that they did,
Right?
the real life, you know, consequences that they portrayed and what is going on in real life. Basically, you know, art imitating life, and how
by a lot,
and how Marvel treats their characters with such care and development in the MCU that it's beautiful to see how they do these characters. I mean, you know, I mean, it started with bringing Robert Downey Jr. in as Tony Stark and Iron Man, and you know, and each character as they came along, whether it was Steve Rogers, whether it was, you know, Black Widow, Black Panther, you know, Sam, Bucky, you know, whatever character it is, they really do a fantastic job of developing these characters and treating them with such respect and dignity to the characters, and really bringing in literally the perfect cast for these characters. And because it's their reflection of how Marvel treats these characters and how they develop them and really, you know, give them that love, you know, because even when they're not on screen and they're in an interview and you hear them talking about the characters and the development that went into these characters, there's so much passion behind their words and how they talk about what the struggles they went through to understand the character, or, you know, the physical training, or, you know, whatever it is. It's crazy to hear that from an actor, because most of the times you get an actor that plays a character, just, you know, it's very, I don't want to say nonchalant, and how you know, in an interview when they're talking about a character, like these people are genuinely excited to be portraying these characters. And I think it really has to do with the treatment that Marvel gives them in the MCU, and how they really go through and develop them throughout the past, you know, 10, 11 years now that we've had the MCU. And, you know, my hat's off to them, because you don't see that a lot in character development in TV shows and movies nowadays. You know, a lot of times you get you know, actors that, you know, will play a character for a certain amount of years and just like, I'm done, I don't want to do it anymore. And not once have you ever heard anybody say that in the MCU. Now, yeah, you've had Chris Evans come out and say, I'm not playing Captain America anymore. Well, his contract's up. He doesn't, you know, he came out and did what he set to do. You know? And I guarantee you, if Marvel went to him and was like, hey, want to play Human Torch for us again? He'd probably be like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's have some fun. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, just tie back around, you know, just the development of these characters in the show and the treatment that they got and what they did with the story was just some of the best storytelling, you know, for a television series in a long time.
Well, it's like it was the best storytelling and some very hard-hitting storytelling too.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
yes, absolutely.
It's like, I don't know. I do know of some people that have stated that it's like, I had never really thought about it that way until I was presented this in this manner.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, you know, I'm like, okay, cool, great. It's like, yay, people for self-realizing that that stuff is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will say this is like as a thing for. I think I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might just be me, but I think John Walker got off a little bit too easy.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
and that is, yes, he did. Honestly, all things considered, and they kind of even say it to him that you got off easy.
okay.
Yeah.
Because again, they told him, look, it's in consideration of these other factors that we're not burying you under the ground for what you did. You know,
Yeah.
realizing how you made it all look, but because we're not doing that, you can still walk out the door. Had it been anybody else, it would not have gone over that way.
Fair.
And that's kind of the thing that you look at in regards to talking about, you know, real life. You know, when we talk about,
it's a completely different treatment between him and Isaiah. Like Isaiah didn't do anything wrong. Like,
It's like he went and saved people's lives, and then it's like, I was arrested for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, and it's like, and it's like, and you can even, the thing is that Steve did the same thing in Captain America: The First Avenger. He went through against orders and went and saved his best friend as well as a whole bunch of other people.
Right.
And what do? They make him into a hero.
And it's like, and now it's like, okay, well, I guess this works.
Right.
But even if I remember right, doesn't Isaiah say that in his talk to Sam? Doesn't he say that Steve had done that and he got turned into this national hero and I got thrown in prison?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so I mean, right there. I mean, just starting off there, you're just like, damn, dude. You know, wow. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's like, if
how do you even like come back from like how do you say something like, oh, like you can't just be like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you know, like
our bad, our goof.
Like, yeah, Isaiah just be like, you know, get the hell out of my house, you know, like he told him to, you know, and yeah, just yeah.
I mean,
just so many, just a powerful show, just a powerful
yeah.
Just on every level. I'm already starting to kind of
get choked up.
I'm getting choked up a little bit just thinking about, you know, just how it's just everything. That's why I say I love this show so much, and this has easily become one of my favorite shows because I've watched it all the way through. I've watched the last episode 3 times already, and here I am still talking about it, getting choked up when I talk about it because they did such a great job. You know, I may be the only person that feels this way, but dude, like, for them to take a very uncomfortable conversation and spread it out over a series and make you realize you know, this is what happened. This has been happening for forever, and things need to change. And you know, in Sam's speech, when he's sitting there and he's talking about all that stuff, and he's talking about how, you know, he's wearing the stars and stripes, and how he already feels the, you know, the people looking down on him and like mad that he's wearing it and that he shouldn't be wearing it, and all those feelings and stuff like that. Like, you go out your front door every day and you see that, and it's depressing.
Well,
like, it really is. And my hat's off to Marvel and them to bring that, you know, to this level, because, you know, a lot of shows try and do that and they get slapped in the face for it because they feel that they try and make the show too political. Well, I'm sorry, dude. It's Captain America and Winter Soldier, or Captain America. I'm sorry. You want to?
There's going to be a little bit of there's going to be a little bit of politics in this conversation.
Captain America, you know what I mean?
Chris, go ahead.
But there's a part actually in Sam's speech that is really indicative of what's going on now as well. When he talks about, you all are making decisions that affect people.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those people that you're affecting in there with you as you make these decisions? Is there only people that are in there, or more people who are like you, who look above all of this, who don't even acknowledge that they are people that you have to listen to or that are affecting you? This is, you make these broad scale decisions, and it affects so many people. And it's part of the speech that he gives, and that is really impressive too. It makes it such a Captain America speech.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and when he's sitting there, he talks about the struggles that he goes through, and how how African American and women go through these struggles. Now you've gone through the struggles that we've gone through for our entire lives through a daily basis. Now we've got that reset button. Now we have to do better. We have to do better, because if we don't do better, we're going to continue on going down this road, and nothing's going to change. We have to be better for it.
And the voice of the people that you are creating, that you're labeling as the
yes, right, yeah.
Well, it's like, go ahead, finish.
Have you sat them down and asked them why they're doing what they're doing? You know?
Exactly. And that the movement has a voice now, and that's an interesting thing for them to have said, is that because if it's not her now, it'll be somebody else. It'll be someone else who will take.
And you don't want to see 2.0.
Exactly.
And it's like, and see, here was something for me that I kind of noticed beforehand, and this is a comparison to both Steve Rogers, Captain America, to Sam Wilson, Captain America. Is that in Captain America Civil War, I mean, they kind of were fighting for the same, they were fighting, Falcon and Steve were on the same side. They were fighting for the people, which is always what they've done.
Yep.
Steve has always fought for as Steve, quote unquote, I hate bullies. He's always fought for the other guy. Sam also fights for the other guy, even when the other guy is kicking the crap out of him. That's like that scene between Carly and Sam kind of hit home for me in a little bit, just because there have been instances in my life where I have fought with a family member and the family member wasn't gonna fight back. They were not gonna fight me because they knew that I wasn't okay. And so, but what they did is that they made sure that it's like I was being heard, that I was, that I was gonna, essentially I was gonna be okay, that I was going to be better. And that's that scene where Carly Morgenthau's like, fight me, and Sam's like, no. And just doing it was like throwing out every single defensive play in the book. And I mean, that shot, that it's like I'm gonna call it the money shot of him like descending down, landing on one foot, and it's like with Carly in his arms, I'm like, well, isn't that, it's like, if that's not symbolism, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it was very definitely had a very symbolism feel when I watched that scene. So
I mean, but let's talk about a little bit happier stuff. Let's talk about we've kind of now reached the theory portion of the show.
Yes.
Okay.
What is it that we think that we're going to see? I think it's like, in terms of let's go with the next Marvel series, which is Loki. Loki set to come out, and I mean, well, granted, there haven't really been that many tie-ins between WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
It depends on what you're looking for as a tie-in, really, I think.
Okay.
In the sense of the tie-in that you're getting, the thread line through all of this is the aftermath, and this goes back as far as Spider-Man. You're seeing the aftermath of Endgame.
Yeah.
How this affected the world, people coming out of it, because now you've got these people who are displaced, you have these people who are having to readjust to their life, and you first hear a bit about it in WandaVision,
Mm-hmm.
because you know what happens. Actually, no, I take it back. You go back as far as Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yep.
How people are back. We're seeing this. It's affected our age. We're kind of like this. So that's your first clip. This is your through line as you're going through right now.
Stewardess, he's not 21. He was blipped.
Yeah.
Right. So you go to that. When you get to WandaVision, you're seeing how she's reacting. You're seeing how Monica had to deal with it for being with what she lost in the process of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how this affected the people of what they wanted to have done with a sudden 5-year gap in their lives, and then they snap back. When you get to here, you're seeing it even more so, and this is your through line. This is your connection to all of it, where Sam is like, "Look, I've done these things. We can try and do this stuff. Don't you know who I am? Yeah, let's play. If you guys like normally play with the clout and all that bit, I'm one of the guys who saved the world and brought us all back together. That's nice, but we still can't help you because of the
stupid rules and regulations."
Right, and then this is part of what Carly's about, because she was like, for this brief minute, the world was good again. It sucks that we lost people, but look at how we all responded afterwards. We became an actual world. We weren't worried about borders or anything. We were trying to become survivors, and we did this to better ourselves up and lift ourselves back up. And then when these people came back, that wasn't so much the problem of them coming back, but the problem was almost, I think, into a level who came back. Because certain ideas and those people who originally had powers or had these things want it back. And they started things, and they want to set things back to the way it was for them almost. And that is not necessarily a good thing in the light of what has happened since. And that's kind of where Carly was coming from. And what really brought that point home to me was actually, oddly enough, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Days ago, I watched that episode where they find the 3 people who are frozen in a floating space station, and how they're acting as they come out, and they're now trying to adjust from early 20th century to now the 24th century. How that affects you, that feeling of being out of time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that. So that I think is your main connection of what you're seeing throughout the current storylines of what's going on. How these people are how everybody, hero, villain, whatever, the world has to readjust for the loss that has happened. I think that's our biggest thing. It's going to be interesting to see how they play it with Loki, honestly.
Well, because I mean, I'm getting the sense of it's like Agent Loki of Asgard. Where
it's kind of weird, because in the trailer it seems like it's Marvel's version of Doctor Who, basically, because Loki broke the time strain because he took the Tesseract, right?
Yeah, he took the Tesseract.
He stole it and broke the timeline for that time. So he's got to go. They're basically have him in this prison to basically go back and fix this timeline so it's back to normal.
Doctor Who or Quantum Leap?
Either or, your choice.
Depending on how they play them. Yeah, this is almost that Agent of Asgard style Loki storyline that we're going to be getting. And going back to that again, TVA just means Fantastic Four to me down the line, because that's where they first appeared from. So I'm every time I see these little nods, I'm like, yay, I saw my X-Men nod, and I saw my Fantastic Four nod. I'm a happy person. Because episode 4 for Captain Winter Soldier, sorry, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, you see the Princess Bar.
Yep.
And Magic Core. And so for those, if you guys don't know that, that is a big deal in the Marvel Universe, because that is the bar that a certain person by the name of Patch seems to be around constantly. And for those who don't know who the hell Patch is, that's Wolverine. So so we're all sitting there going like, gave that quick little shot where they focused on it very much so and even I had to tell my boss that, because he didn't realize that when he first saw it. I'm like, you didn't catch that part? That's the X-Men nod right there. And I'm like, Ah, but it's interesting to see these little nods that they sprinkle throughout the whole thing. Carly was my interesting one. I didn't expect her to be who she was, oddly
Mm-hmm.
enough, and it's partially and it kept, the reason why is because I knew the real name of the first Flag Smasher, and it's just like, why does it sound so familiar? And I kept trying to not look it up and go hunt down why, but it's because it was a variation of the male who she was supposed to be, all those wonderful things.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm rambling now.
It's like him. It's like you guys have the power of a mad god or an angry teenager.
Right.
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 I think in terms of like where I potentially think that what it is that we're gonna see in terms of series and movies, and I mean, like I said, I mean, even though they don't really mention it, but they do kind of touch on it a couple of times, because Isaiah stated that multiple people had taken the serum and it had different effects.
Yep.
Right.
To me, that says the six forgotten or the six American warriors, or the six forgotten warriors, what have you. And what with I think, because when I talked to you, Chris, about coming on to the episode, we talked a little bit about Daredevil.
Right.
And how, like, could it theoretically go to Disney Plus? And you disagreed with that statement. It's like, it's like you made perfect sense in terms of saying that it would much more be suited for Hulu, which
right. I see it going to Hulu faster than I see it go to Disney Plus, because Disney Plus are trying to keep as a more family friendly neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the Netflix shows were not family friendly.
No, they were not.
Not by any stretch of the means.
But
Right.
but what it's like, essentially what I'm getting to though is with the introduction of the Seven Forgotten Warriors, Black Cat, then you could have Sam Murdoch come in to defend Spider-Man, because
Right.
I mean, I'm fairly certain that Spider-Man might be on trial in his next movie.
Right.
There's that. I mean, like, if you're going through the lawyer level, I mean, you can actually, between Daredevil, you can also get early Jennifer Walters if you're going to go that far.
Okay.
Pre becoming She-Hulk, so you can see her as being like the defense attorney against him, or
Right.
for him, depending on how you want to go. And even still bring Murdoch on board, so you're getting that whole beautiful, trifecta of multiple characters. You're getting acknowledgement of other series and stuff, and setting the ground for newer things to come in.
Yeah.
You can do all in one fell swoop right there.
But with
It is a big possibility.
I'm trying to remember now. There was a team with Daredevil, Spidey, She-Hulk, right? In the
That
comics.
was the New Avengers.
The New Avengers.
It was the New Avengers. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So yeah, there's that's part of Business's run. So during the second half, and that's about the same time Bucky was Captain America, was when they were all on the team together. So
Okay.
not impossible.
So
yeah.
Well, maybe they're doing it. I mean, who's to say that Bucky still can't pick up a shield and become a version of Captain America? Because Sam could still be Captain America. I mean, Bucky can pick up a shield. I mean, we're already getting the U.S. agent. You know what I mean? It's
right.
You have multiple characters with the shields carrying that kind of that banner. But it's definitely would be interesting to see that kind of dynamic. I definitely think that I don't think, but I hope we would see a Captain America 4 movie with Sam's Captain America getting that stuff like that.
What I think might happen is we may not get Bucky as Captain America. I think they're going to leave it in Sam's hands.
Mm-hmm.
The last one, we kind of like bypass Bucky in the process. I really expect to see a variation of that Captain America design suit get to him, though. a variation of it that's still uniquely Winter Soldier, but still that Captain America, and we get that acknowledgement. Plus, again, there's the different variants of the shields that we can give him at this point in time. They might give him Steve's Commander Rogers variation of the shield, which is half energy shield, half metal shield, and that might actually work for him. And we can still get kind of those factors,
right?
But don't have to call him Captain America. But that'll still let him be his own person.
Because what would be kind of funny is if they did something like that. And Sam's like, "Well, you're not Captain America. We're gonna call you Bucky Cap."
Exactly.
And then Bucky would be like, "You don't get to call me that."
All right.
I would love for them to do that in there, though.
But
that would be awesome.
So Shane, where do you see this going here?
Dude, there's so many directions that this could go. I mean, what they can do with the Loki series, because of the time travel and all of the the broken timeline. They can essentially bring back characters that were killed in Endgame.
Right.
When you think about it, like, you could bring Natasha back. You could bring Vision back, which we already got Vision. I mean, Vision's already kind of back. With the white version of Vision. We got that. That whole mind reset there at the series for that. But I mean, there's a lot that they can do with this, and I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do. Like, I have no idea what that series is gonna be. It's gonna be amazing. The trailer that they've already shown is like some of the best I've seen in a short amount of time. Like, I'm super excited for it. I love Loki as a character. It's definitely going to be interesting to see Loki without Thor, and how the character development again is with Loki, and where they take this character, because people up until now that haven't read the comics has only seen Loki with Thor.
Right.
Like, Loki's only been the villain really up until oh crap, why am I forgetting
Ragnarok.
The last Thor film.
Thor
Ragnarok, thank you. Thor Ragnarok.
Actually,
you're welcome.
Where they
not actually just no, you have to go further back.
Yeah, because it's like he's not necessarily the villain in Dark World.
No, but he's playing both sides to an extent. You don't really see him like.
He has ulterior motives, yes. Yeah. We'll totally agree with you there. Has ulterior motives, but he's not a bad guy.
He's not.
No. But that's all anybody's ever seen him as, is within that kind of time frame, and
I do agree. It'd be fun to see him outside of it. One thing talking about like where we could go afterwards. For me, and this is my squill moment. My other squill moment was Val. We haven't talked about Val yet. So Val is.
Oh yeah.
Crap. I squealed really hard again.
Julie Marie-Dreyfus.
Yes. Oh my goodness! You don't understand. Like,
I'm like, oh my god, it's Elaine, and it's like it is Elaine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because the way that she delivered her lines was very Elaine-esque.
Yes,
true. So who Val is in the comics realm? How do I put this? In the hierarchy of Shield, there was Nick Fury, there was Dum Dum Dugan. Then there was her.
Yeah, she was up there on the list. Like, she was just as conniving as cunning. I will not use the word conniving. I will amend it to the word cunning.
That was his partner in every sense of the word. That was his love interest. That was his partner. This was the woman who could keep up with Nick Fury.
Yeah, she
had as many secrets as he did. She was amazing. So to see her pop up in this was, like I said, for me, it was an absolute school. I'm gonna be honest, that brought me to tears. just to see her, because in my household, Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the first thing that my father ever read. Like, that was his go-to thing. He made it his prime thing to get as much of that collection and every encounter of Nick Fury as possible. So I grew up hearing the stories about S.H.I.E.L.D. and these characters. And that's why, like I said, with Sitwell being turned evil and Hydra pissed me off so much. Like, I mean, I was hilariously pissed. I can't describe it. And so to see her pop up here, it actually brought me to tears, and to know who her character was. That we know when they talk in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. about the levels of where the people are all at.
Yeah.
You know, level 7. She's at level 10, level 9 person. So I don't know if that's who honestly Sharon is truly reporting to.
Her secrets have secrets that have secrets.
Right.
Exactly. And
well,
so,
in the comics, wasn't she one of the main ones that brought in U.S. Agent?
No, she has no connection to that. Because the government actually did, when Steve was not happy with what they're doing, he left the Shield again.
Right.
This was the second time doing it. The first time he became Nomad. The second time he was like, "You guys have really ticked me off. We have hit the 90s, and we're going to make this edgy." So we're not. He left again. Had Stark make him a vibranium shield, and he became the captain. And so he ran around for a long time as the captain, while Walker took over as actual Captain America in Battlestar. And so that's what happened there. He eventually did report to a Val Cooper, who you may be thinking of, but not test of Val over there. So there are two different people. Had they made Val Cooper into this, that would have been my extra X-Men / X-Force connection / Mutant Force, because that's all mutant level where she starts walking in the door. She's she's one of the agents of the Superhuman Activities Committee, and help make a wrangle and put up departments for the U.S. government to utilize. So Freedom Force was the other one, thank you, which was Marvel's take on Suicide Squad. But again, nothing but mutants in that bad boy. So again, we're hoping I get to see all of that.
Eventually, we'll get some mutants in this world, and it'll be awesome.
But,
we're waiting for that day.
So
I know.
The subdivision of that, but also if you read Jonathan Hickman's run of Secret Warrior.
Okay.
Other things. So that was a special branch when you find out about the whole Hydra was infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of that. But that's where that originally first started up in, was there. She wound up switching to the Hydra side at one point. So I'm very curious if they're playing with part of that in the portion 2 of things as well.
It's like, is Hydra coming back? Is Hydra coming back? Hydra.
But again, you saw some of those people from the Secret Warriors. They actually wound up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for example. Hint, Quake, JD, who had the Hellfire chain and all that bit. Yo-Yo, those were all Secret Warriors originally. So I'm very curious to see how they'll pull some of that stuff together. And Walker at one point did lead the Thunderbolts when we were talking about that earlier. So that's another potential thing we could see pop up down the line. So, we have some options.
And I'm pretty sure whatever path Marvel and Feige and crew decide to take, I mean,
we'll be okay with it.
Well, hold on. It's like as long as it's treated with respect and done well. Yes, we will.
Which they have done this entire time. Which is,
but it's like even the people. It's like the road to hell is laid with good intentions, sir.
Yes.
Anyway,
bless you, sir.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry, but I was mentioning the Inhumans for that part of it. But there have been some twists that I'm not happy with. But at the same time, I'm like, we can let this slide. Looking over at the Guardians of the Galaxy for a minute.
Yep.
Because
how is that? It's like, how is that supposed to be good? But then they just made it good.
Yeah.
Well, how do I look at this? Okay, going to the Guardians for just a second. The team that I got on film was the Bendis version of that team.
Okay.
I personally, if you've never read this, go hunt down the Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning run of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Read that and then watch that film one more time, and you'll understand where I'm at.
Okay.
It's the same people. It is legitimately the same team. But the way that they're treated, the way that they're handled, I would have had the most action-oriented, amazing space spectacular that would have been the Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, I wouldn't have had dance sauce. I wouldn't have had, Drax acting that particular way. I would have had a very competent, amazing team that was Avengers level. That's who they're supposed to be. Like, when you see that run, you're like, this is the Avengers in space. They're that hardcore, that amazing. What I got in that film was the run after they had already saved the universe twice. Twice, mind you. They finally said, and they're like, we can take a break. We can put, pull the pants down. It's like, let the belly hang out. That's the team I got on screen. That's the team that Bendis wrote about, and I'm like, this isn't the fucking Guardians, damn it. Sorry.
It's okay.
To see the real Guardians, aka the ones from the future, show up in a uniquely toned down version of themselves in the second movie still kind of chaps at me a little bit. Because all of those people who are the Ravagers were the original Guardians from the future that actually were the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Time travel's weird, but that's basically what they were. And so it's why I've forgotten. It's in one of the interviews. The gentleman who plays Yondu, I'm forgetting his name right now. Even he commented on it. He was like, "This isn't who I'm supposed to be." Like, Yondu has the big sin cell because he's a comic book fan. He knew the difference of what his character was supposed to be.
Right.
He remarked on it in an interview. But it's kind of do their thing.
Michael Roker.
Michael Roker.
Yeah, thank you, Michael Roker.
Oh.
To see him talk about it, it was like, he knows the truth. And seeing it alone at the car, I'm like, you guys are all the right casting, except I'm missing a person, and you guys are supposed to have been better than. Again, slightly respectful, but
I
not.
I think we're gonna have to have another episode just for the Guardians of the Galaxy and have you back on for it.
But I mean, like,
I'll just hit record and then walk away.
Right.
And the last one that I'm going to grumble about with respect is Malekith. Back at Thor, Dark World.
Yeah.
To get that of an actor for the level of who that character is, and to see what they have done with him in the comics, and you look at the film presentation, you're like, you guys are very much sleeping at the wheel here.
Yeah.
Malekith is such a humongous, charismatic bad guy. I mean, this is the Dark Elf who got to Asgard not only once but twice, and most recently, this was a massive Marvel event with that person at the helm. So if you've not read the War of the Realms, this is the Malekith show 2.0, and he's even meaner than before. He's actually allied other people against everyone, and he's doing this stuff, and to see him just grumble something in an alien language which we did not really need, and then to be killed off in such a fashion, to see one of Thor's greatest freaking foes, Curse, be brought down low in under, I think 2 minutes in fight time?
I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
Credit. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, when you say that again, this is all for this room to say, as long as they treat them with respect, we will all be very, very happy. And hopefully no missed opportunities going forward for what they've done.
All right. Well, I think that concludes it for our conversation for the time.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I mean, last week Shane got going on a rant, so you going on a rant is just fine. It's like you're it's like
I was spoiling this episode last episode.
Yeah, he was. It's like he's spoiling the. It's like I'm like save it. But thank you, Chris, again for joining us. It was a pleasure talking with you again about comics. I very much remember the fond days where like I'd go get Starbucks and walk into the comic shop and we'd talk for hours.
Hour or two, yeah.
It's like hours about what was going on, movie nights and so on and so forth.
Right.
So it was a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us. But my name's Brendan. That's been Shane. We are the Knights of Nerd, and thank you for joining us at the round table. Have a good night, and we'll see you later. What's up, nerds? My name is Brendan, the nerd of many faces.
And I'm Shane, FDScosplay, and we are the Knights of Nerd.
Now, you may have noticed that there has been a slight delay in the release of this episode. That's because you can now find us on Outlet.
Yep, that's right, Brandon. You can catch us on Outlet with so many other great shows like Con Girls Next Door, Adventures with Pablo, Topics on Tap, and many other independently produced shows. So come and check us out, check them out, and have some great conversations.
And if you like what we're doing, go ahead and leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment down below. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you at the round table.